The Uncontrollables. Outrageous? Sometimes. Thoughtful? Maybe. Offensive? Probably. Fabulous? Always. Okay, well.
We have a studio audience tonight. The We Are Libertarians were recording earlier. They had a studio audience. Now they're returning the favor. Well, Spangle's returning the favor. Boy, I'm glad that's happening.
All right.
We were at least quiet over there.
I mean,
Josh, whispering.
You haven't listened to the last... Well, hold on. Get that in a second. So, all right, everybody. On this week of The Uncontrollables, we have a very uncontrollable episode because one of our guests is uncontrollable. I don't know if we'll be able to get through this with any coherency.
Possibly the definition of uncontrollable.
Yes, it is possible, judged by his tattoo. Right. So, yes, this week we're going to go back to our original, as you can tell, the original theme music. Last week it was Josh here singing the intro.
Oh, shit. Maya's letting me know this for the first time right now because I did not realize what we were doing on the last episode. I thought it was going to be further coverage of the Libertarian Convention, and so I didn't even talk to her about showing up for an episode, and she ended up running an episode that we recorded a couple weeks ago that kind of got just put in the archives for later use, and she ended up using it. And so now apparently me singing is how that show started. And thank you for letting me know that, by the way.
He's referring to his life partner, Jessica or Jennifer, whatever her name is.
Sitting next to me, who has listened to the episode and didn't bother to say anything.
Yes, because we are the nicest people in the world. Remember, people, if you want to guest on this show, let us know what you want to do, who you are, why I have to care, and what subject you'd like to talk about, and we will treat you like absolute just not good. But we will get your message out there, and your name will get out there, and you can say you've been on a podcast. It's awesome and on a great online news network that I happen to now have a job with, Indiana Talk. So check it out, indianatalks.com.
Check it out, your website, Creating Maya. You've got all these old episodes archived there.
Yes.
I need to find out how to hack into there so I can get my singing taken down.
Oh, no, that's not possible at this point. And, check out the website, creatingmaya.com. You can also use, if you don't want to send people there, you can use the uncontrollables.com. And our peanut gallery night is going to get on my nerve. Emily, hand me my gun.
Audience.
Hand me a gun. I'm going to need to throw bullets at people. Now, okay, so this episode we have, like you obviously can tell, is me, Maya. We have Josh.
Hello.
We have an audience of some sort, and it's just horrible.
We have an audience at least as large as our broadcast staff tonight. We've got 3 people for the show.
And
we got 3 people
we
watching.
might have more people listening and on this show right now than will ever actually listen to it.
Right, we have more people in this room than will actually tune in this week.
Oh, that's sad. The numbers do not support that. I know.
By the way, talking about the numbers, Gary Snyder, who runs Indiana Talks, he just posted something a couple days ago that this is the top news talk show on Live 365. I believe that's pretty
Indiana
awesome.
Talks is a top news network.
Yes,
on Indiana Talks or on Live
on
365.
Live 365. So awesome news for Indiana Talks, and make sure when you're on their website, you click that donate button because it's from people like you that we are being so successful.
And then also watch out for something I will be doing for them. I will be starting an Indiegogo campaign to raise some money for some equipment and some other needs. And I'm the
not any kind of adult store equipment, correct? Not going to Cirilla's for this.
No, that's on my own tab.
Okay, free plug for Cirilla's there.
Yeah, it used to be Priscilla's, but they got sued.
Right, so now they're Cirilla's. They're like, oh, let's take the P down and rearrange the other letters, and okay, now we're Cirilla's.
Hey, save money, man. It
right?
still sounds
That's
sexy.
I agree.
Okay, and then so our guest this week is James Neese, who, if any of you've seen any of my pictures, you can see his campaign sign in the background. It's a big pyramid with the 99% Neese for state rep. Say hi, Neese.
What's up, people?
That's beautiful. We can hear you a lot better
yes. now. Okay, so I brought you on tonight to talk about a very interesting subject, and we'll get into many different things of the life of James Neese. Not like you were just on the We Are Libertarians podcast, and they were talking about stupid, silly stuff like 4chan and Reddit and silly internet stuff. But
who the hell are you?
Yeah, who are you? No, well, let's not give that because you could go on for days on who is James Neese because there's a lot of faces.
You could ask for a synopsis, and we're going to be like, "That's the show, folks. Have a good night."
You guys will find out who James Neese is throughout the show. Very interesting, very smart character. You guys will love him, and we'll probably have him back on if he's still alive in the future. You'll find out why that's serious. So starting off,
James, don't die.
You called me the other day, and you were on a beach in Jacksonville, Florida. It was like 2 a.m., and you're like, "Yo, dude, what's up?" And I'm like, "Where are you at?" You randomly, it seems like, got in your car and drove to Florida and lived like a bum, basically, for a week. Give us kind of an idea of why you went to Florida and what your purpose was down there.
Right, how the hell did this come about?
Well, I was over at Lauren Dixon's house up there in Fishers, you know what I mean? And, like, when I'm with Lauren Dixon, it's, like, a lot of vodka, you know? So we're on, like, a 2-day vodka bender. And it's some dudes were, like, on Facebook, and they're like, "Hey, we're going to go to Florida. You guys want to go?" And I'm just like, you know what? Sure enough, I want to go.
Define some dudes real quick. Who are these dudes? Do you know who these people are?
I don't know. I just met them. Okay. They're just random people like, "Hey, you want to go?" So, like, you know, they got this cube, you know, like this cube car, and we just packed stuff in there, like some potato chips and, like, a lawn gnome. We got a lawn gnome to come with us. And, like, we started going, like, I had, like, $40 in my pocket, which I spent, like, mostly on, like, MD at gas stations because I was getting drunk the entire way going down there. We stopped in Atlanta for a bit. I tried to find Brett Bittner in, like, Atlanta because I knew where the office was, so he wasn't in his office, so I stood outside for about 5-10 minutes talking shit.
What time of day was this?
It was like probably like 5-6 o'clock at night.
All right.
So, you know, I'm just yelling shit at the office, you know, like, "Brett, come out here. Georgia sucks," you know, because a lot of stuff I say to him online is a lot of, like, I pretend I'm General Sherman Tecumseh. I even have an account called General Sherman Tecumseh just to troll the Georgia LP. So, you know, of course he thinks he's never going to see my face again, but here I am at his office, you know, I just got to let people know I'm actually
Brett Bittner, the executive director of the Libertarian Party of Georgia.
Yeah. Got to let him know I'm as hard as I say I am, you know, represent. But, eventually we got to Jacksonville and we ran out of money. So we ended up sleeping in the car, you know, like a parking lot, and I called Maya at like 2 in the morning because I'm like sitting on the beach, like drinking like bum wine. And so I'm like thinking, you know, what a great time to show these kids what urban survival is all about. And, you know, so they're all like, "Man, I'm so hungry. Like, what am I going to do for food?" All we got there. Like,
hold on. Give us a rough definition before you give an explanation of what is urban survival.
Urban survival is living like a bum. And, like, if you want people to understand it, it involves all sorts of things from spanging, which is holding up signs for people to give you money for whatever reason. That includes train hopping to get from one location to another if you don't have a vehicle. That includes essentially dumpster diving for food. So I decided to teach these kids the way of how do you live in a city when you don't have food, and it's just like, well, let me show you. So we're going down the beach, and, like, we go outside Popeyes. You know, this is a beach resort, so I'm like, okay, this is great because people go here on vacation, they eat, like, maybe, like, half their food and throw out, like, all this food. And these kids are like, "Are you serious? You're going to do this?" And I'm like, "I'm dead serious. I'm going to do this." So I reach down in there, I grab out, like, a box of Popeyes chicken. There's, like, 3 whole, like, chicken legs in there, and they're like, "Are you really going to eat it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to eat it." So I'm walking on the beach eating these chicken legs, and they're, like, looking at me like, dude, even if I was homeless, I wouldn't do that. I'm like, because you couldn't last a day if you were homeless. And he's just like, all the while I still have like $20 in my pocket. I could have went to McDonald's, you know. I'm just.
So wait. Urban survival is basically being a bum, and you ate food out of the trash. Now, I know for a fact.
Let's reiterate the fact it was Popeye's chicken.
Well, that's good no matter what. That's pretty much. You know what? That's trash when it comes out of the fryer. But it still tastes great out of the trash can.
Chris Spangle, Popeye's chicken. A thumbs up or thumbs down?
Total thumbs up.
There we go.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, Chris Spangle, the man that knows food better than anyone else that I know, that can still get out of his chair, loves Popeye chicken. But so you're eating stuff out of the trash can and everything else, and I've watched people throw away copious amounts of perfectly good food before. So I know that you could basically rummage through the dumpster outside of a trash can right outside of a restaurant, and you could probably find whole meals and feed yourself plenty fine, but why?
Like, there's two reasons why. There's a necessity survival why, where I'm stuck in the city, I'm homeless. And there's another called a freegan lifestyle. A freegan is someone that says, well, you throw away food, it better not go to waste. A lot of people that are freegan tend to go to like Trader Joe's or Whole Foods, which has like a 2-day sell-by date for most of their organic foods, like the tomatoes, the broccoli, the spinach, all that stuff is on a 2-day sell-by date. Now, tomatoes aren't going to go bad in like, a cold area in 2 days, but they have to throw it out because the city says they have to. So they end up throwing out like 40, 50 pounds of produce every other day. Like on Thursday, they'll throw out like tomatoes and noodles and all sorts of stuff. And it's not bad. It's just in essentially like a refuse pile. So you can go into the dumpster and pick out like 40 pounds of vegetables, which can feed like a group of like 12 people for like 2 or 3 days. And
wait, this is like Whole Foods, nice places. Yeah, because I know the FDA does get kind of uppity on some of that stuff, and the state local laws get uppity on that. But yeah, you're right. You could probably go dumpster diving behind a Trader Joe's or a Whole Foods and probably get really nice stuff you'd end up paying a shitload of money for. So you're telling people and teaching people about grabbing stuff out of the dumpsters and everything else. Did you do that the entire? You're down there for a week. You did this the entire time, or did you get them to do it as well? Did you interact with any of the other bums and teach them about this?
No, because they got weak and they called home for mom to send them money.
Oh, what a bunch of crap. So, all right, so how many? There's 4 of you all together?
Name their names. Publicly disgrace them on air.
No, I'm not. I encourage you to consider whether or not you want to do that, despite what Maya just suggested.
But, no, like, eventually, like, these whole stuff. But, basically, I did that for, like, a whole week. I slept on the beach. I had burns for a while, but then, the best part is I had to go to McDonald's for Wi-Fi, and like during the whole time, like it was when the Libertarian Party needed like a bunch of stuff sent out, so I had to go to like the McDonald's to get on the Wi-Fi on my phone to send like emails to like Constant Contact, be like, "Hey, convention coming up, make sure you come." Like, niece, what are you doing? Like, nothing, dude. I'm just living life in Jacksonville, I guess. But like sometimes in the morning, like to get money for like cigarettes or get money for like booze, like some of the things we had to do was like we go to the hospital, we donate blood to the hospital, we do like scientific studies, for people that want to do depression studies.
Wait a sec, this happened while you were in Jacksonville in a week? You arranged money for depression studies? What? What?
There's a lot of stuff. A lot of companies pay you to do like, basically survey trials for like depression. A lot of people do like, those are the week-long ones where you do surveys. You come in, you talk to a counselor for a bit, and you get money for it. Some people do like clinical studies, which are like usually 6 to 12 weeks. If you're in like a city for like, at least 2 months at a time, you can do studies where they give you placebos or they give you like an actual medication on trial.
How do you find these? Like, how do you even locate this happening?
Craigslist.
Oh, damn Craigslist. Why do I not? You know what? After those crazy posts about the kids, they won't let me on there anymore.
But, you can do, we have like several people doing those different things. You can bring in like $300, $400 at a time. So like when you have a group doing it, you can bring in a lot of money just by doing different things in the city like that. And usually goes for, like I said, like liquor or cigarettes. But the whole week down there, I was just showing them like this is how you do it. If you want to be a crust punk, want to be a crust punk today, we'll do it. Like dumpster diving, doing these different studies. And some of these kids were like, these are kids from Carmel and Whiteland and stuff like that. They have no clue what the hell's going on. They're like, this is like some podunk, like niche, you're hardcore, dude. Like, you're the hardest dude I've ever seen in my life. And I'm like, no, like it ain't that hard. It's I've done it before. Like when I was a kid, like I lived with my dad. I would take my I had a Beretta, like a 1989 pace car Beretta that I would take to like Kentucky for sometimes and like live in Kentucky until I got tired, and kind of went back home. I lived in like Walmart parking lots, and I'd get grounded and stuff like that. Or my dad was gone for like extended periods of time. Like my dad would go on like a trip and he'd come back and there's like cut up milk jugs and the house smells like pot, and I'm like, it's just a gravity bong, dude. Like, don't get too serious about it. But
so, let me reiterate. You ran for state rep. Oh. What's?
I'm going to go ahead and ask you to not reiterate that again.
Under the Libertarian Party banner, which means, yes, everyone out there, if you have any doubts at all that you could ever run for office, We are the party for you.
Hey,
we will bring you on, and we will support you, and we will actually nominate you for awards such as Campaign of the Year.
And let me just throw out a little something about your campaign.
Did I really get nominated?
Yeah, you were nominated for Candidate of the Year at the 2013.
Right. Thanks for going to Florida instead of coming to Columbus, Indiana. But whatever. No, seriously, your campaign. You're in the Irvington area. No, Fountain Square area. Which one is it?
Irvington and Fountain Square. I got both those hipster.
All right,
centrals.
so it was both those areas. You did a hell of a lot of knocking on doors and introducing yourself to people. And when the day was all said and done, you ended up with one of the best percentages of our Libertarian candidates, as I recall.
I got 5% in a place where like the last dude only got 292 votes. I got like 1,000.
Yeah,
and that's not bad. And I think you had the best looking yard sign. Which, if you haven't seen it, just look on my wall somewhere. There's probably a picture of it or 8. Or I think there's one a little while back on your wall of Emily using her boobs to rest on top of said sign. So go check that out because it's boobs. So do it. Now,
Emily, by the way, thank you so much for contributing your boobs to the success of this show.
Yes, your boobs have done many, many wonderful things. And let's give her a clap, a round of applause for Emily's boobs. There will be new photos used for...
Nude photos?
No, new. I'll do nude eventually. Now, so if you guys haven't seen my photos recently...
Holy smoking hot. I mean...
Yes, they are. No, I'm going to be sending some new photos to Chris, and he's going to edit them up and make new push material with Emily's new boob shots. So look forward to that.
Speaking
she has
of
new
push
hair.
material, your boobs are pushed way up in a couple of those pictures. How'd that feel?
Well, that was wonderful. I couldn't stop staring at myself. I was like, hey, look, I got cleavage. Okay, so, and Chris right now is using my phone to take breast shots of, great cleavage shots.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get that up on the website.
So, Josh, or Jessica, Josh's life partner, we need some cleavage shots for you. Everyone upload these onto the Uncontrollables wall. You guys can go find out when you go there. So we'll get back to James and stop talking about boobs. Okay, so you did some pretty crazy stuff in Florida, and it seems like you've done some pretty crazy stuff all around. But what you told me about what you're going to be doing next kind of trumps everything, ever. You're going to go out to Slab City, which is, I guess, an old abandoned base out in the Colorado desert. You're going to go out there, and you're taking an RV and a trailer, and you're going to basically live in anarcho-communism communes.
Where's this going to be at?
Slab City. That's basically you're 30 miles from the border of Mexico in the Colorado desert, which is next to the Salton Sea, which is the hottest place in the United States.
And... all right, I need to hear something about Slab City. You might have just said something. Tell me about Slab City. I've never heard of Slab City before. I'm apparently out of the loop here.
Slab City is known as the last free place on Earth. It's in Imperial County, California, which is 3 hours from L.A.
Yeah,
what makes Slab City unique is the military base wasn't ceded back to the local county governments, so it's basically up for grabs who wants this military base. So it's never been sold. So when they decommissioned the military base, it was just left there to rot because it's off the Salton Sea. What happened to the Salton Sea in like the 60s and 70s was in the 1950s they turned it into a fishery for tilapia because it's a very salty lake in the middle of California. It's kind of like Great Salt Lake in Utah.
Yeah.
But eventually, erosion and the problems with like the area, all the fish end up being toxic. So it's like now it's this giant pool of methane. So, once a tourist destination, now it's just a dead desert. Okay. So eventually, like everybody moved out, and now you have there's basically people that tour there, want to see the desert. I guess there's people that like to see deserts. But the land there, essentially, you can go to Slab City. You can park a RV or a trailer, whatever you have with you there, and you can claim that land as your own, if it was a homesteading situation.
And there's still land left?
It's a desert. There's always land left.
Well, I mean, how big is this? I mean, it's still real estate's real estate. If people can just throw up stakes and claim land, I can't imagine there's so much of it left that you can still drive your RV in and say this is mine.
It's in an area where the Coachella Canal, which runs down through southern part of California, from the Coachella Canal over is the desert. The problem with this area is since it's in Imperial County, which is the poorest county in California, a lot of people live in Newland or they live in Calimexi. So anything that's left north of that, which is the slabs, which is East Jesus as well, is a bunch of barren land with very few vegetation, very few water sources. So it's very inhospitable. I guess you could terraform it because that's what Los Angeles was at one time, but people are just like, it's too much effort. We tried it once in the 70s with Salton Sea, and it didn't work. It turned into methane. So it's all just a bunch of abandoned land where you can just plop there and claim something as your own. So technically it's the most free place on earth because you can kind of go there and evade anything you want to, be it government officials, if you're crazy enough to do that, or anything you want to. You can
how many people are there? Do you know? I mean, you kind of mentioned to me that there's a couple different groups of people there. What kind of people are there? What kind of groups you can imagine right now? It's screaming out in your head if you're listening. Illegal activity, drugs, snuff porn, all kinds of stuff.
That's Spangle applauding snuff porn, ladies and gentlemen.
That is his forte. He loves it, and he searches deep and dark on the internet for every last bit of it he can.
J.A. Featherstone on Twitter. I am throwing up the Wikipedia page on Slab City onto my Twitter if you're looking to get some more information about this.
That'll be 5 days from now. Thank you. So, don't post till then.
Still going to be on there.
Now, so what other kind of groups are out there? You said there are some, and you're going to go out there with a different group of people that are either already there or you're taking with you. Maybe give us a little bit more on that.
All right. There's probably a population of like 120 people there. It's attracted a lot of different people. A lot of people that are artists that go out there to make art. There's a lot of like Dada art out there. So like sculptures made out of like old tires, sculptures made out of like, old bicycle parts to kind of do their art thing there. That's the East Jesus encampment, which is, it has its own Wi-Fi, has its own generators, its own water sources. They're trying to build like coops and co-ops to make like, I guess, to grow chickens there, I guess, for eggs. To the south of the actual Slab City, it's a very mixed. There's libertarian survivalists that are out there. There's a little libertarian group that runs a couple stores out there and sells propane. There's a bunch of people that are just anarchists that move out there generally because of the freedom you have there. There's a lot of musicians that move out there. And then there's less hospitable elements, which are your drug dealers and your scavengers. Which,
according to the Wikipedia article, it's also apparently a hot spot for snowbirds. Like retired people that own RVs go there just to hang for the winter, like Florida.
Yeah, they go there to see it out because there's a huge art exhibit in East Jesus, which they go there to see the art.
Remember, snowbirds went through the 70s, and some of them still haven't left.
I'm completely interested by this. This is interesting as hell. How have I never heard of this?
Because you're a horrible, horrible person. You leave a very boring and desolate lifestyle. This is what Chris Spangle said. It's because you're a good person that lives a normal lifestyle and contributes to society.
What did you just say about Nice?
Okay, Josh, you manage.
Like Nice doesn't know.
Josh, you manage a restaurant,
I do manage
chain
a
restaurant.
chain restaurant.
What all have you contributed to society? I mean,
food.
Uncontrollables.
Yeah. I've contributed more to society in the past, 30 minutes just by producing, body heat from eating this food than Chris has in half his life.
You are still eating, by the way. Holy crap.
How much food are you eating, fatty?
I've only eaten 3 of these little burritos and one of the tacos.
Little burritos. They were like 7-layer burritos. These were like enormous.
No, they're not. They're the little taco. Okay, so let's get back to these. Stop talking about me. This show isn't about me. Yes, it is. So that sided.
The noise you hear in the background is everyone's bullshit detectors going off.
You're going to go out there. Now he's still laughing like a hyena.
We are libertarians here on the Indiana Talks, if you
I'm not. So you're going to go out there and there's scavengers, there's everything else, there's the drug dealers. What group are you going out there with?
Can I hang with them all? I mean, obviously.
Well, no, I mean, you're a mutualist. You're a left anarchist. What group are you going to get along with best with your lifestyle choice, with how you're going to want to decide to live out there?
I tend to bring my own crew. I have crews that do specific things. I have people that make jewelry. I have people that do fire hoop and belly dancing classes that I bring with me to all my festivals and stuff. So yeah, you got an idea there. I see, and you're kind of like, oh, do belly dancing classes.
You have people. Everybody, be afraid. James Neese has people. Now, when you say you're going to bring your own crew, what do you mean bring your own crew? Because do you have the RV yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got an RV and you're going to put some water tanks on it and some other cool stuff. What kind of crew are you taking out there, and what are they bringing other than maybe their random skill sets or their fiery hula hoops?
Well, to survive in like a hospitable environment, you have to have at least a tightly managed ship. So we're going to take this RV and kind of include it like a ship. So when I have people with different skill sets, like engineering skill sets or mercantile skill sets, that helps a lot because then, like, Nyland's only 9 miles away. So people that sell jewelry, people that do lessons, people that kind of fix cars and stuff like that, they can go into Nyland to make money, which you can spend in like the community to buy supplies like propane. Like if I don't have propane, you can't really cook. I mean, I guess you could start a fire, but it's like a desert. Everything's really dry. I wouldn't recommend starting fires too often.
All right, I'm just.
You're enthralled by the Wikipedia
I am.
website.
All right, so 120 degrees in the summer. How long? When are you going?
September.
How long are you going to stay?
I don't know yet.
All right, so not necessarily going in the peak of the summer. So you're trying to avoid this 120 degree BS.
In September, it's still going to be hot. I used to live in New Mexico. It's still freaking hot out there.
I mean, all right, so it says 150 residents or so that live there all year round. Everyone else is kind of in and out. Most of which they're called slabbers, I guess. Most of which deriving their living through government checks.
Oh, James.
That may or may not be actually true. But, hey, I fully support getting every last cent you can from the government. Don't give them anything, but take as much as you can. I endorse that. I do not endorse drugs.
The people that are on there for the government assistance,
Yeah.
those are very crazy people. Those are essentially Vietnam vets that moved out there because they have like problems. You can watch videos on YouTube that are related to Slab City. You can kind of see what I'm talking about.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that anyone that you refer to as a crazy person is probably really effing nuts.
There's a guy out there that catches snakes and like does the whole like church thing with the snakes that lives out there.
What is the church thing with the snakes?
The Baptists.
What is this church thing you do with the snake?
Like, when you grab the snakes and you start speaking in tongues, you kind of wave them around a bit, like rattler snakes, you know what I mean? So
It's what Baptists do. It's just a Baptist thing. I think Catholics are into it too. No, they're into little boys.
I've decided I can't die without seeing this place.
No, actually, you know what? That brings me to the next thing is you tell me about this. I'm going to wait till you go out there and you have some kind of contact with me, and I'm coming out there. I'm actually looking at getting a little RV and turn it into a hamster farm or a guinea pig farm because there's a decent bit of meat on guinea pigs and they're pretty easy to breed. So I was thinking, do you think I could do well out there with a guinea pig farm and sell meat?
To sell guinea pig meat?
Yeah.
To like 120 people?
Well, I wouldn't sell to all of them. I won't sell to the dirty commies or anything, but everyone else, yeah.
I mean, you can always try it out. I mean, if you fail, you just have a bunch of guiney pigs, just let them go in the wild. I mean,
right, because they're bound to survive in that desert.
I'd sell to the guy with rattlesnakes.
Right?
So, okay, so there's the communist people out there and everything else. Okay, if the libertarians are out there, how are the communists buying crap off of them? Because if the communists don't really, you're a mutualist. You guys don't really believe in capital and money. How are you, other than your skill sets, I mean, you can't go, trade the snake guy hula hoop lessons for snake meat. What are you going to do about that?
There's two principles that work on this thing. One is called LNT, which is leave no trace, which is essentially cleaning up the area, which makes you seem like you're not there. To make money, to trade things, is like a lot of people in the slabs work on a barter system. There's people that buy like bulk things from like, the city. People are more apt to go into town, like to go buy like propane tanks. It's very easy to use, like, trade something for a propane tank for something they need, which if you're living in a desert, 120 degree heat, and you don't have access to like major cities a lot of the time, there's a lot of stuff that breaks down. There's a lot of things they need as well. Like they need people to help raise their tilapia farm, which is a large scale project they're working on now. They need people to work on the computers there for the Wi-Fi systems, the generators. So there's always some labor to do there that you can trade for different things. It works on a principle such as that. I mean, I was talking with Greg Lentz about Bedford, Indiana, and Cyflux Farms, which works on that same principle. You can always buy a membership, but you can also do work around the farm for his little intentional community where he grows vegetables, and he'll pay you for doing that with vegetables and, free rent there.
All right. Now, you talk about cleaning up after yourself. I'm currently looking at there's a website, eastjesus.org.
Yeah.
It's the East Jesus Survival Guide. And the people that live in East Jesus have actually put out this website, this survival guide that says basically what to do if you're going to come out here, before you come, whatever. Starting with, first off, you have to have a survival guide to live here. Rule 0, do not piss us off. Any questions, refer to Rule 0. But one of the, right, so But anyway, what you're talking about cleaning up, where did I just see that?
Probably section 3 or 4.
It says leave no trace. East Jesus is not a effing ashtray. Smoking is permitted. Smoking is permitted. Go ahead, they're your lungs. But if we find one single butt on the ground, we will effing kill you. That means you will be dead, and it will hurt like hell the whole time you are dying. This is from their actual city survival guide.
It doesn't exactly sound like a real nice group of people. I mean, if you go out there and you get, absolutely shit-faced like you're known to do, and you smoke and you drop a butt, are you actually going to be afraid for your life?
I think that's kind of done in jest, not specifically serious. I don't think they're going to 12-gauge me for dropping a cigarette butt. It's more like, we don't like you polluting, make sure you clean up after yourself, we're going to give you a hard time. So I think it's mostly in jest, but the problem with cleaning up after yourself, that kind of helps a lot because you're living in such a small desert area where you kind of huddle together and have a community. You really don't want someone dropping beer cans, half-empty bottles, cigarette butts all over, the what limited ground you have to share with people for the range or.
This place sounds really fun. Now,
it does.
Why? I mean, I literally, if I could right now, I would honestly be going with you after I did plenty of my own preparations, and my preparations would include a lot of guns.
Do it.
This sounds like some effed up city in some
you know what?
make-believe city in a movie somewhere.
Actually, hold on. When do you plan on going?
September.
September.
You said September. Okay, I wasn't paying attention. I was eating.
El burrito.
Okay, I'm going to go out here and say this. I'm either, if I can get some interest generated behind this, I'm probably going to start like a Kickstarter at Indiegogo or something. You people need to donate money to me, and I will prepare, and I will go out there. I will go with James out to Slab City, and I want people to take bets on how long I could stay out there. I'm not going to say how long I would stay out there.
Are you really trying to raise money for a vacation?
Oh, a vacation to Slab City. Yeah, sure. Right. With a bunch of dirty commies. I can't stand a bunch of hippies. I hate hula hoops. I want you guys to help me get out there, and I want to do interviews with everybody out there from the uncontrollable standpoint. Josh, you're not going. You wouldn't last 10 minutes.
No, I would get dead.
Without your eye-tightening cream and everything else, you would just be a horrible mess. But
he would actually probably be bitten by horseflies. The desert has a lot of horseflies, and a horsefly is very common to known to lay eggs in your brain, and the larvae hatch in your brain, your spinal cord. So, if Josh were to go out there, I feel like he would be the first to be bitten by a horsefly, and
you would die.
Pretty awful time.
You would die.
I don't even know what this means right now. No. Josh, let's just be real. You would be the first to be bitten by a horsefly. They can smell you.
Let's okay. If you people want me to go out there and do a series of shows that I will record, and somebody else will cover for me, not Josh. Somebody else will cover for me that's reliable. They can cover the show. I'm gone. But I want to raise some money to do, get a truck or something and go out there. And I want to go out there and really cover the experience from a hippie, grunge, skinny guy's point of view.
Smell this shirt. This shirt smells like Pledge, homie. It's this smells awesome.
Why does your shirt smell? Did you use that to polish your furniture before you put it on? What happened?
I was polishing furniture.
So that's an affirmative.
But seriously, everybody.
Why did it take till this many episodes to get Niece on?
Because originally I was going to do a show with Niece. I got drunk. It lasted 3.5 hours. I deleted all the audio.
You know how mad I was?
Yeah.
Oh.
I saved none of that audio. So, Chris Spangle was very mad. He loves saving embarrassing stuff in audio and brings it up to you later. You guys have no idea how many people Chris Spangle has blackmailed into doing things for him. Why do you think he has a job he has, or he was the executive director of the LPIN? It's because he blackmailed Andy Horning with naked pictures. And so...
Right. He said, Andy, if you don't run for Senate, I'm going to send you naked pictures.
Oh, my God. So, I want to go out there with... So, I want to come out there with you, Niece. Now... how long do you want to stay? Do you want to, if you like it out there, I mean, are you going to stay a while? I mean, are you going to go out there and you're going to try to run for office in Slab City, or what are you going to do?
Slab City actually has its own Democratic representative. I mean, it's in Imperial County. You can run for office in Slab City.
Are you going to?
Do you want me to run for office in Imperial County?
I will donate to your freaking campaign if you run for office in Slab City.
I'm down for donating to your
campaign. It's like 40% Latino. I'm pretty sure I can win that vote.
Okay, everybody, picture this. James Neese, the skinniest, whitest-looking person you will ever know. So,
I'm taking pictures of him.
These will be on Facebook. Are you a felon?
No.
Good, you can hold my gun. We'll get pictures later. So,
How the fuck is he not a felon?
I'm not a felon.
Right, the operative question here is, are you a felon yet?
Ain't nobody got behind catch Neese.
Don't push me, bro.
He will sick an anon on you if you go after Neese. That's why I'm so nice to you, buddy.
Butter. No, but like Imperial County, it's like, even though Slab City is kind of like this little anarchist little like paradise there, like it's actually in Imperial County, and there is like a government there in Nilland, and you can run for office. You can go to the United States Senate from Slab City, even though like some of the residents there, if they did run for office, would actually be kind of funny, because it's like some of these people are kind of like living in the desert so long, putting like seashells in your hair from like the Salton Sea and like whatever else you can find, like bottle caps. It'd be kind of an interesting thing if they ran for office.
Yeah, so would you say this Slab City place is, we talk about anarchists and anarchist communes and the history of them. And
there's a dude that runs around like Slab City. He's like 55 years old. He wears a Speedo 24/7. He has a pack mule. He travels everywhere.
I am definitely going. I have to get pictures.
That is your next
guy.
U.S. senator.
Yeah, I'd vote for him.
The horse's name is Rock and Roll.
So is this a better example of anarchism than Somalia? When everyone tells anarchists, how about you just go live in Somalia? Is this actually a good place for anarchists to maybe look towards to see if maybe this is a place that we could actually turn into an anarchist state?
It's probably not the best, but it's probably the closest locale if you're an American. There's probably better places in South America and like Canada, like probably in like Nunavut, because there's nothing in Nunavut. You can probably
That's
get
true.
it.
I mean, look at the name. Who would want to live there? But I can't even spell it. So, I mean, would you actually? I mean, you haven't been there. So, once you go there, would you start encouraging other people to go out there, or maybe try to convince people of certain skill sets, or maybe even like Peter Thiel, tell him like, hey, dude, like drop me like a couple $100,000 so I can start like a guinea pig farm or something. I mean, would you? Is that something you think could be feasible? Because I mean, he donated millions to the Seasteading Institute, which has gone nowhere, by the way. But would you try to get people to invest in this? Would you try to convince me to get people to invest in this? I mean, do you think it's something that could maybe be feasible?
It could be feasible in the same manner as
into the mic.
The way this thing is set up is it's like a Wild West situation. Like this town is like 100-something people. It's basically just bare bones. Like one store and like people living out of like essentially tents and RVs. If there was a lot of investment, a lot of like migration to that community, like say if it jumps from like 100 people to 500 people, and there's a lot of money going through, you could actually turn Slab City into like this like wasteland, like Badlands, Mad Max situation, into probably a very profitable town with different skill sets, like people doing auto body work, people doing, grocery work, doing like farming work there, and kind of like terraforming the place to a livable community. So you can definitely, if you had enough, labor and enough capital investment, you can turn that from essentially that Badlands situation to a very thriving town.
Well, once again, going back to this survival guide, it says in here that the number of visitors to East Jesus and to the Slab City is growing, and now they're asking if you want to come out for a night or two, that you're donating $10 per night per person. Now you're turning this into you got two people to go out there and spend a month. That's $600.
That's only in East Jesus. That's for a lot of people go there for tourism. So people kind of like when they're in California, they go out there to see the slabs because it's where Salvation Mountain is, which is this giant piece of artwork with multiple colors and a lot of religious themes. So people go out there and visit. So when people roll through with they're like Escalades and stuff, so here we go. I want to see Salvation Mountain. They ask you donate. A lot of people that live there don't donate because they live there. Essentially what they're trying to get you to donate to is off the East Jesus website, which is for their art projects, which is what they fund. They're trying to raise money to essentially buy, sheet metal, anything to help them build up their like tilapia farms. Or I keep going back to these tilapia farms, but they're so onto that, like they just want to do it so bad. They're trying to get PVC pipe. Yeah.
What skill set are you taking?
I'm pretty good at like electronics. What do you want, bro? I do stuff all the time.
Oh, okay.
What?
So you got electronics. Now, that could only probably get you so far because there's probably other hipsters and stuff out there that have electronic backgrounds and things like that. What else do you have? Just in case, that doesn't work out, in case there's not like a whole lot of electronic need, what are you going to do next?
Well, they have their own 802.11b Wi-Fi situation, so they do a lot of websites. That website's actually hosted there. Like, they need a lot of people to run, like, press as well as that. So a lot of people that need, like, back-end work on their websites or back-end work on, like, their blogs that they run through there. Like, I can do a lot of that work as well, since I'm very capable at doing programming and publishing.
Are you going to start a Slab City Chan?
A Slab Chan?
Yeah, Slab Chan, yeah.
Yeah, I guess we could. I mean,
I think you should start a Slab Chan, because I would definitely get on that again.
I mean, you can go out there and you could probably be a gunsmith if you learn that too well, because like I said, there's a lot of problem with the scavengers, which actually roll the desert tonight looking for used military bombs that never went off. Like, a lot of people actually comb the desert for bombs or old like shell casings.
I am going
back to this again. Yeah, it even warns you on the survival guide: don't show up after dark. No discussions, no exceptions. Accept it and deal with it and plan accordingly. Given the nature of Slab City and some of its inhabitants, unexpected visitors after dark are presumed to be trespassing with ill intent and will be staring down the barrel of a 12-gauge.
Oh, wonderful! I could go out there and do security. I could go out there and be a scavenger hunter, and I could. If you guys ever heard of the anime Desert Punk, that's gonna be me. Oh yeah. I just did an anime reference. I'm so sorry.
Such a virgin, man.
Forever alone. Forever alone. I mean, did you just call me a virgin?
Yeah.
I'm gonna slap that tired, grumpy ass look off your face. Okay, so we covered that pretty well. We will plan on having more and more updates from that as much as we can. You will have to let me know how that goes. We might even do like a little Skype bit, or I might be there. Who knows? If you guys send me enough money, I'll go. I will literally go.
I think you just roll with Nice. I say we make this happen.
If I had enough, if you guys give me enough money, and I'm not talking about like tens of thousands. Of course, if you want to give me that much, I'll get breast implants before I go. But hey, I can make money that way. But if you guys give me enough money, or somebody gives me
you could be their stripper.
I'm sure they already have some, but I'll be another. And if you guys give me enough money, you can actually give me stipulations on what I can or cannot take, or what like clothing I'm only allowed to take. I can make this fun. Guys, give me money, and I will do it. I will promise to do it, and I will have people make sure I do it. But so on to the next thing we want to talk to you about, politics. You were just having a discussion with one of the other the semi-wannabe libertarians on the We Are Libertarians podcast about politics and everything else, and he sometimes likes to call himself an anarchist, even though he doesn't know how to define the term. You're a mutualist. Give us a very, very basic definition of what a mutualist is, the core tenets.
Free market anti-capitalism. Kevin Carson, who works at the Center for Stateless Society, actually wrote an organizational manual regarding what is mutualism. It's essentially a form of practicing markets where you put markets above capitalism at all costs, which includes voluntary exchange. Essentially, the tax base should only be taxable on like land rent usage. So it's against landholders that don't actually own the land. So it's actually very much against banking systems.
So there's homesteading rules along with that, right?
Yeah.
So basically, if you're on a piece of land, if you're not using it or utilizing it, it's not yours, right?
Essentially, that's a land usage property value.
Okay. So, you say it's anti-capitalism and the basic definition of capitalism, but you're anti-capital. Are you saying that in a mutualist society you can't build capital, as in capital being defined in the loosest way possible, saying, I have 800 beer cans and this person over here needs the aluminum. Thus you have capital because you have an overabundance of something somebody else wants. That's capital. You're saying somehow mutualists are against that?
No, it's not against capital. It's anti-capitalism, which is a lot of mutualists kind of view that in a capitalist system, a lot of people tend to own things that don't really use it. So they view private property as known as personal property. Like this couch is Chris Spangle's because Chris Spangle uses the couch, but the grass outside that is in front of his house he doesn't own because the landlord owns that. So when you discuss like what personal property is, the person that's using is full ownership of it. So if there's a bit of land, like, 5 or 6 acres, if you use that 5 or 6 acres of land, that's yours. You don't pay any taxes to the government. You don't pay any taxes to anybody else. You don't pay rent to anybody else. If you have the land and you rent it out, that makes you a landlord, and you're susceptible to land value taxation. So you have to pay taxes to kind of keep the upkeep of the land.
How do you denote what's use?
Right, yeah, that's a good
what
question.
happens if I have a big front yard and it's just nothing but pretty beautiful grass, but I'm actually using it for worms and grubs because I sell them for fishing bait? I mean, how is anyone supposed to know? This sounds like it'd have to be a really tight-knit community where everyone knows what everyone else is doing with their land or their property. Are you saying things even, you said yards and things. Are you saying a couch? If I have a couch in a back room that I never use, it's not mine? And what would happen to it? What could happen to it under a mutualist society?
It depends how loose and stringent you want to go with it. If you're going to define it as, well, I have this table in my dining room. I don't really use this table too often. Is it mine or is it somebody else's? When you define use, like using the couch as an example, because this is Chris's apartment, this is where Chris pays money to rent, everything in this apartment is his personal use, from the books to the toothbrush to, everything in here. So that's his personal property, his private property. Anything outside this apartment or his own personal property is not considered his. The grass, the parking lot, that's somebody else's. So when you work on a mutual system, like what I do with it, you have to really think of it as in terms of what do I actually own? What do I actually own? And, when you think about banking systems, like how banks kind of run with property, like dilapidated house, there's hundreds of houses here that are vacant that no one uses. It's just a part of capital that's never been, used for probably about 5 or 6 years. It's trying to solve an issue that involves these housing things where what do we do with the property? Someone has the money to buy the property as it's based on the value of land. Like say it costs $12,000 for this acre of land. Should they be able to own it instead of having to go through the bank and trying to deal with a bank through a mortgage company?
A home, it takes labor and it takes materials to build. Now, if when a bank forecloses on a home, and I'm not saying banks are always right and the interest rates aren't always right and everything else, but people agree to those terms. And people sign that contract and they agreed to pay that money or to be indebted to the bank for that money. Now, are you saying, and that and a lot of the stuff I've heard you talk about and other mutualists talk about is it basically seems like you guys will not believe or follow contract law in a mutualist society. And I hear that from a lot of leftists on everything anyways. But you're talking about foreclosed homes and everything else and college loans. You signed a contract. There's no excuse for ignorance on not learning what you were signing. So are you saying in a mutualist society you wouldn't have contract law?
You're talking about if I sign an agreement between you, either a verbal agreement or something on paper that says you do this in exchange for me to do this. If it's broken, then I owe you $500 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
There's no rule that says you can't do that. A lot of mutualist communities try to work with things like the Mondragon Corporation try to have collective ownership regarding what happens with the company. So you can still have personal contracts between people. It's just a lot of things have worked very basically on a direct democracy sort of situation where if I worked at Mondragon, I buy into what's called common stock. So I own part of the company up to 2.5% of the company. So I have this common stock, and anything that happens with pay scales, with benefits, with how the company runs on a day-to-day basis, I have a voice to say, well, I really don't agree with this new rate hike that we're trying to give out to people. Can we vote on it and see what it does to our profit margin, and we'll just go from there. A lot of people don't do that in U.S. businesses or U.S. communities. It's kind of based on representation, so you have either a CEO making the decisions for you with the board of directors, or you're having a politician make the decisions for you. You don't get with your little tight-knit community and say, well, do we really want to spend the money on this pool or not? Let's have a vote and see if we want to do it or not. We don't have that sort of voice. Everything's kind of represented through, a hierarchy, through politicians and CEOs.
You're definitely pushing a lot about the labor theory and everything else.
You mentioned the mutualist communities. Where are these?
There were a lot in Spain. there's a lot in Europe as well. They're not too common here. We used to have some in Pennsylvania when we had like land value taxation in Pennsylvania. That was like 1700s, so it's not like anytime new. That was like some founding fathers times. There's some in England where they still have land value taxation, and they have like communities where it's kind of managed on direct democracy. There's a lot in like the Scandinavian countries and parts of like old Russia as well. So especially here in the United States, it's probably rare, but not as rare as you see it in like Europe or South America.
Okay. It's a very interesting theory, and it kind of sits along lines. You can throw mutualists, anarcho-socialists, anarcho-communists off into the same pile. Now, not necessarily in the same pile, same side of the line. They're not exactly the same. There's a lot of differences, but some of the general underlying theories have a lot of similarities. Where the question of what is ownership, what do you own, what's yours, what you can do, what you can't do, how it's enforced, and things like that are very similar. The labor theory, I mean, that's what it is basically, saying that like I can't pay such a little wage, or I can't monopolize on labor so much so as that if you quit or you got fired, you could no longer eat. And that's a lot of people, a lot of leftists run after Walmart for crap like that, and blah, 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 blah. What's James Neese's thoughts on that?
Labor theory, a lot of people knock it, like a lot of people like on the right of the spectrum knock labor theory of value because it sounds like, ooh, communism. But the point is like it's an Adam Smith theory, and it was done with the invisible hand. And it's one of the tenets of when Adam Smith was talking about a free economy, that you shouldn't diminish labor to a point that when people are so poor and they're doing so many hours of work that they can't afford to feed themselves and contribute to the economy itself, because all their money is just wasted on like, rent and basically living essentials that they can't afford luxuries. That's a very capitalist thing, the labor theory of value. A lot of people went off of it because it's demand side economics as opposed to supply side economics. We did a shift where we got rid of demand side, we started applying supply side, the whole trickle down theory. I think I would side with people from Walmart, because the people that are so poor from Walmart for being like low wages, low healthcare benefits, everybody in society has to make up for that. Like a lot of government programs have to go into that. Like you're so poor, you're only getting paid minimum wage at like 25 hours a week because Walmart wants to cut your hours so they can avoid healthcare costs. Those people are going to be the ones that are going to be applying for Medicaid. They're going to be applying for TANF. They're going to be applying for EBT and all sorts of other programs that comes out of your tax dollars. So essentially every time Walmart wants to avoid, paying an extra $5 every month on healthcare benefits for its employees, you're going to be paying a lot of tax money to make sure they're insured with healthcare.
But that doesn't really answer it from a mutualist standpoint of saying that that's the hard thing to argue with anarchism in many different walks of life, is that it's really hard to talk about things when it comes to healthcare and everything else, because everything's cost is inflated because government. The labor laws are screwed up because government and everything else, and so it's kind of a horrible topic to ever talk about unless you have like 30 hours and lots of time and resources on your hands, because it sucks for people at Walmart to get paid so little, but it's the government's fault that it's not worth crap that they're getting paid in the first place, or they can't afford health care because it's so expensive because of the government. I
think the best way to answer it in the mutualist sense, because you want to ask about that, it's when let's say you have like a job at Burger King, minimum wage. Do you really give a shit about your job when you work at Burger King if you're just flipping hamburgers?
Well, I mean, I would, because I didn't want to be an owner.
No. I mean, let's say that your minimum wage, you have low skill sets. Okay, like you say, your education is low, and the only thing you can really do is basically flip burgers at McDonald's or whatever restaurant you want to go. It's like your value of your job and the value of yourself is going to be so low that you don't give a shit about how many burgers you flip, how much profit you make at McDonald's. You're just doing it for that $8 an hour to make sure that you can buy stuff before you get done. Now, let's say that you're the same worker, but you own 2% of the company that you work at, that franchise. If you own 2% of that franchise, you're apparently going to do a better job because the profit margins are going to you. And basically anything you own, you're going to treat better. You're going to treat your own couch that you own better than some stranger's couch. But when you work in a mutualist system with common stock, they give you especially options where it's like, okay, well, you work here. You're going to work for this amount of pay. You agree to that. You agree to how much you're going to pay. Maybe $10 an hour, maybe $8 an hour, whatever. But in addition, you have 2% of common stock that you can make directions where this company wants to go.
Now, do you lose that common stock if you get fired or leave?
Yeah.
Okay. See, that actually makes a lot of sense, and I think that's one thing I think a lot of people have a hard time with. Is that's why I don't like everyone going to college are like apprenticeships because you actually buy into the company. You actually have something invested and you actually care. But all right, well, that was not as an entertaining conversation as it might have been earlier with the Slab City stuff. But the word mutualism, I think probably 90% of the people I know have never come across. Ever.
I would assume that whoever out there is listening to us tonight, this is probably for at least most of them the first time they've heard about this.
There's like, what are you guys talking about, guys? Like talking about chicks or what? You know?
What?
Pretty much. I think we're about ready to wrap this up. Good. That was Chris Spangle from the back of his room. I think he's sleeping or masturbating or something. He just said, "Thank God." Yeah, we're at just a little over an hour, and
that was the most boring shit ever.
Chris Spangle just walked into the room in nothing but a pair of whitey tighties,
skid marks
with skid marks,
and
he's now shaking his butt at us, showing them. What in the hell is wrong with you?
Listen, sometimes I like to have a little bit of control. And then at night, I like a little bit of freedom. You know what I'm saying?
I would like to say that when I got here, I was like, "Hey, Chris, what's your Wi-Fi password?" He's like, "Oh, it's in the back room on the side of the router." And I walk into the back room, and his underwear is everywhere on the floor.
Oh yeah, I mean, and like 3 of them cover the entire floor.
I thought it was carpet at first.
Wash your feet.
Skid mark carpet. I was like, "Well, your cat in here cleaning its ass."
What is this, Burberry carpet? It's a little bit tan. It's a little bit brown. It's a little bit white.
A little yellow. Okay.
So that's how we're wrapping this one up.
Oh, good Lord.
No. You guys should definitely check Chris Spangle out September 5th through 6th at Hyperion Music Festival. If you want to see some guy babysitting a guy that's drunk as fuck, you're going to have a fun time.
Right.
I'm going to have to have fun editing this tonight. Oh.
Right.
Fight the power.
Check out Chris Spank. Check out We Are Libertarians here on Indiana Talks.
Yay!
Check out creatingmaya.com. Check out indianatalks.com and make sure you hit the donate button. And while you're on creatingmaya.com, send her some money so she can get some boobs so I can stop listening to her bitch about the fact she doesn't have any.
Yeah.
Check out squattheplanet.com as well for that Slab City stuff.
Yes, Squat the Planet is the website, and that's where it's all at. And I like perusing through there because it's hilarious, and I laugh, and I giggle.
Scroll back through my Twitter, J.A. Featherstone, and you'll find some links to some of the stuff we're talking about, and a couple pics of the mad genius James Neese. I've got him posted up there.
Yes, we'll have some of him. And then...
Maya, welcome back to Facebook, by the way.
I took a little hiatus, and I'm
like 18 hours. She sent me a message. She sent me a message at 4:30 yesterday. Said, "Hey, we still on for tomorrow night?" And before I could reply, Facebook user deactivated.
I do that sometimes, and I come back and I'm all like, "Hey, guys," and everyone's like, "Where'd you go? It's so sad."
What? She deleted her Facebook one time and like blocked me or something, dude. And I was like,
I got blocked by you.
I got blocked, and like I called her like one day. You know, I'm with Lauren and Hannah. I'm in the car driving down, toward the like Indianapolis Museum of Art, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up? You blocked me," and then like I get a text. It's like,
Spangle, are you friends with Maya again? Or are you still on the blocked list?
No, Chris. No one's on the block list still, except some people that need to be on the block list. They'll never be listening to this in the first place. But I plan on another time taking a hiatus for about 2 weeks and just hop. Well, I did that actually once. Did for like a week and a half. It was very hard.
I did. I got completely blocked by you one time.
Yes.
It was about a year. It was right when you came out, I think.
Yeah, I blocked all the local libertarian people.
But at the time, you didn't block Lori. That's the only reason I found out that you were still on Facebook. I was like, "Oh, well, Maya's off Facebook." She's like, "No, I'm friends with her." I was like,
"Because I love Lori."
What the F?
Well, and I made a new Facebook. And I didn't always add everybody. So no. Facebook's fun, and I like blocking people because it garners me more attention when I come back. And and I get that's not what it was all about, Chris. It was,
big thanks to our studio audience for being here tonight.
PO'd at people because people were angry about my new pictures. And they're
F them,
fantastic.
Seriously. Check out Maya's Facebook page.
You like attention almost as much as Lauren Rumpler.
Oh!
I am good. I'm burning your apartment down, dude.
And she might think everybody be like, "That's very insulting." She'd be like, "He mentioned me."
Isn't she like the new communications director or something?
Yeah, she is.
I think if we really want to build communications, we should just get her a poll, play some good music, and we could garner way more communication between libertarians and non-libertarians than ever before.
Check out lpin.org, LPMC, ndlp.org, lp.org.
Oh, yeah. Also, friend Ed Coleman on Facebook and tell him he's a douchebag. And he is not a Christian. If you're a Christian, message him, tell him he's a douchebag and he's not a good Christian. Ed Coleman, ED, and in Coleman like the stove. So, we're going to wrap it up.
I'm cool with Ed. Right, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, Maya Axton and the opinions of Maya Axton are not necessarily the opinions of Chris Spangle, Josh Featherstone, the studio audience, or anyone else on the damn planet.
As your life partner's giving me air high fives. Jessica Hoyt, Hoyt, give her poker
My name's Jennifer or Jessica, and now you can spell it.
All right, so now with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and say bye-bye.
Thank you. Yeah, meanwhile, I'm offering Maya all the sausage she can handle.
And I'm contemplating taking it.
Right? She's like, whatever.
You'd be my first, so.
That's beautiful.